Crossing the Streams.
It's tremendous.
Episode 87.
Oh.
Can you believe it? 87. We're here. I don't know. Rosner is doing some video magic. While he's doing that, welcome everybody to Crossing the Streams, where we answer the universal question: what should I be binging next? I just finished something. I got to watch something else. And so here we are. We have 87 hours streaming on YouTube. Search Jeff DeWaskin Show on YouTube, Classic Conversations. It's all right there for you. It's exciting. We got some OGs here. We found out Sal's phone didn't work, and so he hasn't been getting texts, and so that's why he hasn't been here.
I don't know if you saw
thing
my
is
comment.
AOL is up to date.
I know.
Oh, let's
That's why
let's
he's
do the
waiting for a
theme
trial
song. Let's
disc
do
in
the
the
theme
mail.
song before we forget. Bob, kick us off.
Here's a story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me.
Ron.
They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff and Sal and Bob, and there's Howard. They call it Crossing Streams.
I'll take it, Howard. And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You can hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross the streams. Everybody in the audience.
We cross the streams.
We
cross the streams.
We cross
That's the way we do it here. We cross the streams.
Do.
Nice.
Oh.
Nice.
That was pretty awesome. What's up, Lee?
Excellent.
You're late.
Hey, late. We're late.
You're late. Yay. I don't know. We got Jerry in the house.
The OGs. Hey, Jay, you're an OG yourself, buddy.
That's right. I think let's do the drinking game. OG Jerry wrote these. Leave them up. If Bob drinks or anyone drinks, drink. If any technical issues, drink. Keep an eye on Rosner. He's on his phone, so there's a chance you might need to drink from him. If we have to ask what platform the show is on, drink. If we put you on the screen, drink. Jerry, you should be drinking right now. If we forget someone's name or detail, drink. If you just need to get through it, drink. What is this? Ron spends half his time also commenting on the show. All right, so
It's so stupid and juvenile. I love it.
I know. So a few quick things. I know this sometimes we do some quick wrap-ups here. So let me say that I watched, and I think Howard reviewed the show, Never Have I Ever, a little bit ago. So season 3 just aired. They just released season 3, and my wife and I just watched it. We binged right through it. I hands down think this is one of the best shows like ever. Like this show, the writing on this show, this last season specifically, was insane. Like I couldn't even believe the level of writing. I've never watched a show that felt so real while I was watching it. Anyway, so I finished the season. I highly recommend. I tweeted, got Mindy Kaling to like the tweet, and which was cool. It's her show. And so anyway, that's that. I just wanted to pitch it again.
Nice. I haven't started season 3 yet.
Mindy Kaling is so talented, and she's just never been given her due because she doesn't look like, the Barbie doll Friends comedian, right? She's just she's one of the most talented people out there.
I think she's amazing. All her shows are really good. Howard's reviewed, I think, all of them. So I'll give him super fan status.
Yep.
Duke and Duke, I see. I like your shirt.
Duke and Duke commodities.
Randolph and Mortimer. Is that what it was?
Yeah, correct.
I haven't really kept up with it, but I guess there's like people are upset about Lord of the Rings now too with the casting choices, in addition to the House of Dragon casting choices.
Yeah.
With African Americans, it's like it's just good. Can't we just watch a show? If you can believe Natalie Wood is a Puerto Rican girl,
yeah, why not?
Can we just move on with life?
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a couched bullshit racism too that they're at. It's like, these characters were, there was medieval. No, it's fucking Middle Earth. It's a fictional place, you idiots. You understand?
Yeah. Elon Musk said Tolkien would be rolling over in his grave. Like, there's elves, dwarves, gnomes, like, stop. It's all nonsense. It's the same thing.
To build
It's
a more diverse world of craziness.
Same thing that makes me get into my car, flip over to the sports talk radio station, and there's some announcement about they're changing the jersey. Oh, hi, and somebody's like, "This is ridiculous! They're changing the jersey." Why does that matter? Why do
it's not canon, Howard?
You sound like Jim Jeffries,
it's
Howard.
so ridiculous.
Oh man,
it's so stupid. It's stupid. And Ron and I, being the huge soccer fans that we are, like, his team and my team, my team, you would, if you turn on the soccer match, what's Wolves their sponsor now, the jersey sponsor? So the betting company.
It's well, it was W88. Now it's starts with a V. I can't even remember the name of the company. It's an online odds making company.
Yeah, and Arsenal, my team, is Emirates Air, which is this big, huge Fly Emirates. So if you were watching our two teams play, you would turn it on and you would see Fly Emirates against betting company. And the total size of the team logos on the jerseys would be about 6 inches square. Like, that's it. It has no effect on the fan base whatsoever. Like, just stop with your nonsense. These are people that, that are upset with anything political correctness wise.
All right. Well, I
we
didn't
need a
get
sponsor for my rants.
We do.
Pepto-Bismol.
Tell me if you think I'm crazy. Do you guys eat pretzel rods? Do you love? I think they're the best of the pretzel family.
See, okay, can we talk about this for a second? Because I've had this conversation with my family. Pretzel rods are great unless you're eating them in, on your couch, your bed, or anywhere where you don't want crumbs.
Right.
See, I don't put that limitation on myself. I eat pretzel rods everywhere. But I do believe.
Always have, always will.
Always, yeah. Right. But pretzel rods, there is such a thing as a good bag of pretzel rods. In a bad bag. Like,
no, hold on. Are you one of the thin pretzel rod guys?
Oh, God,
or are
no,
you like a full-on pretzel rod?
No, not the small ones that are like little
Yeah.
sticks. I'm talking about like a full pretzel rod. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's what I enjoy. And I gotta tell you something.
Correct.
Robin started freezing our fruit and we eat it frozen. She buys it fresh and we eat it frozen. It's not bad to buy frozen fruit.
You eat it while it's frozen, or you let it thaw?
No. It's like if you freeze, we used to do this with fresh blueberries. So anyone listening, you flash freeze blueberries.
Yeah.
And then you just eat them while they're frozen.
Yeah.
It's like eating candy. It's like if you want to feel good, healthy, but think you're eating candy, do that. And strawberries is a game changer too, by the way. All right. This was fun. Oh, last week we had like the best episode, and like it was a full on.
Well, you can't pull out of the pretzel.
I was just gonna say. I feel like we didn't resolve the pretzel rod discussion.
Yeah.
But let's give a moment to Ukraine while people are thinking about the pretzel rods. Okay.
And if you can, send pretzels to Ukraine. Every one of the pretzel formats, genres, has its own pluses and minuses. So, like, I like the thin rods. The danger of those is if you're not paying attention, you can get one poking into the top roof of your mouth, or jamming your jaw open.
Jamming your jaw.
That I love is the butter braided pretzels.
Yes.
Delicious tasting, but they leave a Cheeto-esque film on your hand.
Those are hard to find. Those are good though. Can we all agree that the thick Bavarian version of the bow tie pretzels, that those are the ones you don't want? Those make a mess no matter what you do.
You'll break a tooth on that too.
Well, pretzels, I think, are one of those things where you'll gladly eat whatever somebody gives you. Right. Nobody ever goes to a party and goes, "Ugh, I wish they had the other pretzel." You always fall in line with whatever pretzel happens to be there. It's whatever one you buy, though.
I don't know if you guys.
Somebody puts out whole wheat or oat pretzels. F them.
Not if they have a good mustard with it, though.
There you go. Mustard makes it, baby. You can put mustard on a brick.
Yeah, if you have a good mustard with like one of those good honey mustards, that can save any pretzel.
A good Dijon.
Yeah.
There you go. By the way, in college, the Pretzel Rods, that was my backup band, was Bob and the Pretzel Rods. we
There's
You
your
guys broke
backup
up?
band too.
yeah,
you guys broke up.
we did. We broke up.
And things got salty.
They got salty with me. That's why.
Oh, I beat you to it. I beat you.
You got me. You got me. Look, 100,000 people are now turning off their computers right now.
I know. It's all about speed. It's about quick. I remember we were at a restaurant once, and I made a joke. And she goes, "You're not the first person to say that." But I said to her, I go, "But was I the fastest one to say?"
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. All right. So pretzels. Feel free to chime in with your own pretzel talk and send us pretzels. I guess. Really.
Similarly, the first time I had sex with my wife and told her that I'd had an orgasm, she said pretty much the same thing. You're not the first person to say that, but you are the fastest.
Oh man.
Boom.
So last week was a great episode 86. It was a full episode just on Game of Thrones, and then we kind of bookended it with House of the Dragon. And so it was a great 1 hour talk about a particular show. So, if anyone's interested in us kind of diving into a particular series, we should totally do that. And we can spend an hour kind of just diving into one thing versus, a bunch. So today, though, we have a bunch. We have Hotel Walmart, which I'm really looking forward to, and then we got Selling the OC, Piranha. This is Piranha 3D, by the way, and Under the Volcano. Under the Volcano.
These are high caliber shows you got going today, Jeffrey.
These are all real good. And so I'm really interested in Selling the OC.
Oh dear Lord. So listen, I am not such a reality television guy. And this was served up to me by Netflix. And I just figured, you know what? I've got nothing better to do. Let me check out an episode of Selling the OC. And let me just see what it is. And maybe I'll report on it, on the show, and just, talk about whether it held my attention or whether I laughed or whatnot. And let me just start off by asking, has anybody seen this?
I have not.
Nope.
What is the OC?
Orange County, California.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Los
Okay.
Angeles, right?
Yeah. So the OC was a show in itself, Bob.
What? Say that again?
OC was a TV series from 2000.
Yes, that's true. That's right. The OC. No, yes. So this it is a real estate reality television show. What's interesting about this show is, so keep this in mind, that this is the latest iteration of the exact same formula and franchise as about a half a dozen other shows just like it. And we could probably extrapolate that to probably 30 other shows just like it in terms of what it is they're trying to actually achieve. There's no moral redeeming value with this show whatsoever. They are literally spoon feeding the American idiot exactly what they want. And let me just add further, it's on Netflix. So there's no FCC, there's no regulations on what they can or can't say or show or do. I mean, it is an unbridled mess that unfolds right before your very eyes.
It sounds amazing, Ron.
So I just want to say, just purely on that basis alone, it is car wreck interesting. There are limitations to things like Keeping Up with the Kardashians and some of the other just complete mess shows that somehow hold our attention. This is I would say they took it and put it on steroids is the best way I can describe that. One of the shows that it's compared to is a European show called Love Island, which I wouldn't expect any of you guys to know, but what you should know about Love Island is that Love Island was the highest rated show in the UK, had 57 episodes as number one in the UK, and it all because it had the exact same formula as this. You could make an argument that The Bachelor and Bachelorette, which is a franchise that has absolutely exploded into the American psyche, and now has actually two different forms of each show being served up to U.S. audiences, is amazing. And now Netflix, like I said, giving you exactly what you want. It's just another iteration of an absolutely bonkers formula, this time being a real estate show. This is a follow-up to a show that nobody ever saw on network television called Selling Sunset. I don't know if anybody's heard of that show.
No.
But
No.
Netflix bought, so it follows the exploits of a Los Angeles-based real estate firm called the Oppenheim Group, which is owned by these twin dudes, 45-year-old guys who are mega successful selling the Sunset Boulevard area of Los Angeles, and they built this thriving practice, and the show covered the exploits truly of a real estate show. What's interesting about that on a personal level, Howard, you know, our good friend Brian's brother actually developed a reality television show also about the exploits of selling real estate. In his particular case, it was about selling real estate to professional athletes, particularly ones who came into brand new contracts. I thought that was an interesting formula to find out what young people who suddenly come across millions of dollars, what kinds of things they would buy, and how a real estate agent could help guide a very personal yet important decision about their real estate choices. This, however, is not that, because what this is basically about a dozen Los Angeles overly hot, overly moneyed young people who use real estate to be the worst absolute versions of themselves, in lying, cajoling, spreading falsehoods about each other, about their competitors, doing whatever it takes to sell these deals. And the way this is covered and followed makes you love some of them, makes you hate some of them. And I just have to tell you, as terrible as you feel when the episode finishes and you're like, I cannot believe I just watched 48 minutes of this. I swear you find yourself a day later saying, hey, I wonder what happened with Angie. You know, I wonder, I wonder if Nick ever got that deal. You know, I wonder, you know, the opening scene of episode 1, they're selling $100 million Laguna property, $100 million. You know, someone's going to get a $6 million commission on this deal. I think it was actually less than that, but something like that. And it's a scramble, it's a fight, and now you're wondering who's going to get that deal and how they're going to sell it, and who's going to have sex to make it happen, and who's going to lie about someone's mother, and who's going to have a big party and invite the right people to it. And so I just want to point out that this is an absolute symbol of America. It is a perfect show for audiences that want nothing to think about. They don't want to look at the news. They don't want to hear about anything real. They just want to see beautiful people screw each other, all in the name of selling deals with real estate. And if that's what you're looking for, and if that's the kind of release that you expect and desire from your television show, particularly on a network like Netflix, where you have everything available in terms of nudity and violence and all the horrible things that they can offer you on Netflix, this is your show, ladies.
Horrible.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you described the best show ever.
Yeah.
So
it's our last crossing the streams.
Well, hopefully we're not sponsored by our friends at Netflix at this point. But I just will add one last thing and then open to you guys. But I think the most compelling part of this show is the fact that it's on Netflix, and Netflix gives them total license to be absolutely the worst on this show for the cameras. Because as I said at the beginning, there are limitations to what you can do on network television. And I promise you, there's no limitations on this show.
And these are real people?
Supposedly. I mean,
supposedly real people.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, you know how it is with reality television.
But I'm saying they're not. It's not a scripted show.
It's not scripted. Like, one of the dudes is a former Hollister model who, you know, they're all models. They're all these young people with no real prospects prior to this. I don't think any of them have educations. They're all kind of just thrown together, but they're hired by this legitimate Oppenheim Group, and that is, if you look them up, that's a real thriving real estate firm out of Los Angeles. They cater only to the mega wealthy in Los Angeles. It's a real thing. So they're not lying about that. I just am fascinated by the fact that something so big and so real and so powerful in Los Angeles is actually being run by a bunch of friggin' children, who are doing.
That's surprising in Los Angeles.
All right.
So,
well, that was awesome, Ron.
Yeah, check it out. I think you guys.
Yeah.
I think you guys will enjoy it.
Just in terms of scripted reality, I don't know, Ron, if you remember the story, or Jeff, but our buddy and Ron's cousin Dan is a photographer, and he was on an episode of Gene Simmons' Family Jewels that was filming in Detroit, and he got a call that they needed a photographer for an episode, and they were referred to him. He was the best, and so he gave him his rate, and they said great, and they said we'll send you the script. And he said, wait, what do you mean send me the script? It's a reality show. And they responded and said, I'm sure you understand reality shows are not entirely unscripted. And it wasn't word for word dialogue, but it was, this is the scene. Here's essentially the theme of what's going to happen. And then we'll just play it out within that theme. And
that wasn't always the case, like the Ozzy show, Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon, that wasn't scripted at all. I'm being serious. I'm being serious. And so I think at some point it became scripted, but
well, it's not. But there's also a difference between the ability to edit it. Obviously, makes it also not exactly real as well. That was what happened with The Real World. The first.
Well,
episode.
so I looked, in researching this conversation. I'll just say this: I don't know if you guys are familiar with the show Big Brother. Which is a European show originally, and then it was brought to the United States. But the original European show had nudity, and it was they filmed them as they were, completely unscripted. No matter what happened, they could be having sex, they could go into the bathroom, they could be walking around in their kitchen naked. It didn't matter. That was the show. But when it came to the U.S., I think they had to guide it into an actual theme and not necessarily a script per se, but I think they wanted to encourage certain behaviors and have that be filmed rather than just let it be natural. So I think that's hopefully more of what they're trying to achieve with selling the OC.
All right.
That was Anderson Cooper's network television debut, I believe. Big Brother.
Is that
he was
right?
on the first? Yeah, he was on the first season of that. It was just this big, stupid build up with all these idiots brought in by truck. Oh, they're here, and here come the. It's just anyway.
Interesting.
Not a fan of reality TV. Yeah.
Very interesting. Speaking of, oh wait, no, I don't want to do that. I want to say that. All right, I think the review of Hotel Walmart may be longer than the actual show.
It might be. I love this. I just ran across this, and I can't even remember how. One of these, YouTube rabbit holes. This is the shortest documentary I've ever seen. It's less than 13 minutes long, but it's a full documentary. It's not a joke. It's not meant to be flippant. It's not meant to be cursory. It just gets to the point. And I think it serves up a lesson for other documentary filmmakers that it doesn't have to be 9 shows an hour long. You can say what you need to say if you do it. These people did. Now, I believe it was an Australian crew that produced this. And the central point to this, the central bit of information that they reveal early on is that Walmart has a policy that states we will not scare off or ban people from staying in our parking lots, whether they're just staying the night because they're on a long trip, or if they're homeless, whatever it happens to be. There are literally thousands of people who are living in Walmart parking lots across the country. And like I said, some of them are transient. They're vacationers, or they're just people that, they live the nomadic lifestyle, whatever it is. But you have a lot of people who live there. They've pitched their tent, literally and figuratively, and that's where they live out their life. And this particular one, it's focused on Flagstaff, Arizona. And there are dozens of people living in this parking lot. And it's a colorful group of people, as you would imagine. Some of them you instantly like and root for. This guy named Joe, he's just one of these guys. He's been, I think he said he was there for like 12 years. He just came there, and stayed. Didn't have any prospects. and then you have another couple that you don't like so much because they have fled California because Child Protective Services is looking for them. They've taken 2 of their children, and they escaped with their baby. And the filmmakers go inside this this mobile home with them, and there's fucking roosters living in this thing along with this baby and puppies and just this weirdness. Now these people, they're not, I don't want to call them bad people. They're just undereducated. They don't know what they don't know. And so you have a little bit of anger toward them, but at the same time, you want them to figure their lives out, because these are not drunks. These are not drug users. These are just people that for one reason or another slid off into this, it's not a lifestyle, into, I don't know what you'd call it, just the fringes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a story that sort of takes place, during this 13 minutes. And it may be the saddest story I've ever heard when it comes to a homeless person. This guy, Joe, he starts off, they start telling his story. He has this vehicle, like a truck, and it serves him fine. He lives in the truck and, gets around in his truck. And then there are casinos around Flagstaff, Arizona, as they are, in every place in America now. And these casinos are so disgusting and so ruthless. They prey on these people who literally have nothing, and they take what little they have. They say, hey, come on and go to the casino, and we're going to feed you. We're going to give you comp chips, $15 of free play. So this guy goes there, and then somebody at this casino convinces them, hey, you know what? You can buy this car. You can win this car. You can buy this car. And he puts up his truck and then, takes on these payments. The guy he doesn't have a dime. So, it's a couple months later, they're looking to take his truck, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to resell it at huge profit. So people are being preyed upon, even in the most horrific, sensitive situations. That's the downside of this little documentary. The upside is that you do run across some people. You run across the sheriff. I think, it's the mayor of Flagstaff, actually, who says, we looked at it and thought, we don't want these people out on the road. They have vehicles. We don't want them out in danger. Why not let them live here? It's not bothering anybody. They're not in the middle of the park, or not in the front. They're not taking up the handicap spaces. They're just living their lives out quietly. And humbly, and they're not bothering anybody. So I kept trying to think, what did I take away from this documentary? Well, I think it's this. It's there is, I forget who said it. I wish I could remember the author. One of you guys is going to know it. The phrase, the banality of evil, which was used to describe, I believe it was the Holocaust. And it's just the humdrum kind of feel to what evil becomes when it's just there. It's all around you, and you don't even see it until somebody puts a lens on it and says, look what people are trying to do with these people who don't have anything to give. They're taking money they don't have. They're making their lives even worse than they could possibly be. But somehow, some way, these people find a way to live. And I never thought I would thank Walmart for anything, but it's a really cool thing that they do, that they provide, because it becomes a safe haven for them. Because every local police department knows and understands that in these Walmart parking lots, there are people living. And they do the drive-bys. They don't ignore them. And so that there is some protection for these folks. So it's a short documentary, but with a big message. So that's Hotel
That's a
Walmart.
lot. That's a lot. And you're right. When Hannah Arnett said and spoke of the banality of evil.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'd like that up. But
Thank you.
That's a lot for 13 minutes. So it's pretty intense. Thank you for that.
So you may remember a couple months ago, I reviewed on Netflix for the Netflix show Made, which is a
Mhm.
limited series. It was I'm blanking on the actress's name, but anyway, the show actually featured that, Bob.
That
That made this. It was about this homeless single mother,
Right.
and her mother. She came from a homeless family, but her mother lived on the show. Lived in a Walmart parking lot in a community of other homeless people in the parking lot. And it's interesting because they didn't talk about it or even note it in the show, but it very clearly was Walmart.
Yeah. Walmart does not publicize it, but they don't deny it either.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, kudos to Walmart. And, good job there. That was good. Rosin, you ready to go under the
I'm ready.
volcano? You ready to go under the volcano? All right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to hear this.
This was a recommendation to me, and somebody that knows my love for music and music documentaries, obviously, and it was excellent. So, Under the Volcano is a documentary. It's set in the 70s, early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. George Martin, who famously produced the Beatles, the Apple studio that he had created, or Abbey Road rather, that he had created, had really become under corporate control, and it was stale, it was corporate, and he hated it. He just didn't think it was conducive to really making music that was fresh, and it didn't allow artists to just feel at ease. It always felt under pressure, and he had been vacationing and was in the Caribbean, and had found his way to the island of Montserrat, which is a really small island and beautiful, really the jewel of the Caribbean is what it's known as. And was right. For a little foreshadowing. And he just thought it was amazing. So he developed this plan to build an offshoot of Air Studios, is what it was then known. And he created an offshoot called Air Montserrat. And but not only did he bring in, build the studio, just cleared land, built the studio, but brought in this unbelievably amazing technology that because they were building fresh and not retrofitting in an existing space, they could bring in this level of technology that was above anything anywhere else. So basically, he had to find and convince some artists to come there, and he eventually did convince some to come, and it, in a very limited period of time, became the absolute mecca of producing some of the music of the 70s and 80s that we know that is some of the greatest music of all time. And the artists that talk about it being there, with few exceptions, there's a couple that hated it, but just because it was too relaxed, it wasn't what they were expecting. But the rest of them found it so tranquil and peaceful and got their creative juices flowing. The stories that they tell in the documentary are amazing. So, as an example of some of the music that was created at Air Montserrat, just in terms of some of the folks that recorded there, and again, this is literally like they showed like the schedule, and it'd be like Tuesday, Rolling Stones check out 2 weeks from that Tuesday, and immediately we clean, and the next afternoon Paul McCartney checks in. Like, that's the way it was. So McCartney, the Stones, Stevie Wonder, Elton John, Duran Duran, Ultravox, Jimmy Buffett, all these bands that just in a very short period of time. So, amongst some of the albums that came out of there, Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, famously, which Money for Nothing. The Police recorded both Ghost in the Machine and Synchronicity there, and they hated each other at this point in time. They said really the island and their ability to walk away, smoke pot, or get away and just be away from each other in a pool or on the beach was the only thing that kept those albums together, and it was really done after those two albums. The Stones recorded. So the Stones had been separate for a while. They had taken a hiatus. Mick and Keith had gone off and done their thing, and they got back together and did. They did Steel Wheel, which was became a huge tour after it. Elton John did. He did the album. I can't remember the name of the album.
Too Low for Zero. One of my favorite.
Too Low for Zero, right?
Yeah,
right. And some of the songs, they talk about the stories that come from some of the songs. The like I'm Still Standing. Elton just one night wanted to get out and made his way to just a shanty pub in the middle of this island where the locals go, and came in, went up on stage, played piano, had a blast, and couldn't believe some of the guys were so drunk and had been drinking and somehow were still standing. And he immediately called Bernie Taupin and said, "We need to write a song called I'm Still Standing." And that's where the impetus for that song came from. One of the main features of Montserrat was a huge volcano that had been dormant for a long time, which Buffett, that's where the song, Volcano came from. He wrote that sitting there just watching the volcano, and the line, I don't know where I'm going to go when the volcano blows. And then at the end of the song, Mr. Utley was a guy that worked on the island that just, they all befriended. He might have been the chef at the studio. Foreshadowing again, the first thing that really led to the massive destruction on this island was the volcano erupting. It destroyed huge portions of the island, not only lava, but ash. And it's a small island. So it destroyed that. And, a lot of folks left. They started to slowly get back together. The studio never really reopened after that. And then just as they were getting everything back together, Hurricane Hugo hit and demolished the island. Everything totally destroyed.
Good God. So anything left there? Anybody left there?
There are. I mean, there are people still left.
Keith is there. Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The drugs kind of kept him pickled from the hurricanes. No, it's just it's a pretty amazing story of the interviews with the artists that are in the documentary. It's great folks that are in. It's funny. I had seen Elton John a couple of days before at Comerica Park, and was amazed by everybody in the band, and didn't realize that most of the folks in the band that's touring with Elton right now, most of them have been with him for over 50 years.
That's
crazy.
a Yellow Brick Road touring band. That's Nigel and Davy Johnstone, and
the guy that we kept noticing when we saw him in concert was the percussionist, and I can't remember his name, but he mentioned
the bald guy.
Yeah,
Ray Cooper.
Ray Cooper, who has played
big Elton John fan.
Nice.
I'm huge.
He played with literally everybody. That's anybody that's everybody, and in the music world, especially in the UK, he recorded on their albums. Like his credits list, if you look him up like on Wikipedia, is remarkable. He's featured pretty prominently in the documentary, and really interesting. It's a really good documentary, an easy watch, not deep at all. You feel for the people on the island, certainly towards the end, with everything that they went through. What was left of the studio is literally ruins in the middle of a jungle right now. Just walls and some equipment and stuff like that, but they just left it there, and it was never heard from again. It just died with the volcano and the hurricane.
What is this on amazing. Netflix?
It is on, I believe, Amazon Prime. I'll have to double check.
Amazon Prime.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
Or Hulu, maybe one of the two.
Thank you, Howard.
Nice job, Howard.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it. All right. I'm gonna wrap things.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk
Piranha.
All right, let's talk about Piranha. Now, this is Piranha 3D. Okay.
Yeah,
so
because
this is
you wouldn't watch it without 3D.
Right. Well, this is Piranha
Yeah.
3D. This came out in 2010. So let me a quick history. Jaws comes out in 1975. That's a movie about shark. Maybe you've heard of it. And then Piranha comes out. Now, Piranha, the original Piranha, comes out, and this is sort of this is the first in a series of low B budget films inspired by Jaws by legendary producer Roger Corman. Now, the director of the 1978 Piranha, keep in mind this is just backstory, we're going to talk about the 2010, was directed by Joe Dante, who went on to direct many, many, many things that you likely love, right? And so, including The Howling, The Burbs, what do we got? You know, just a lot of great stuff he's done. I think there might be Gremlins in there. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't. A lot of good stuff. And then, so then Piranha, which took the idea of Jaws, but adapted it to Little Fish That Eat You, had a sequel, and that sequel in 1982 was called Piranha 2: The Spawning. The director of this film was a little-known director named James Cameron. Okay, so now this film almost was tried. They tried to block it, the Jaws people, because it was coming out at the same time as Jaws 2. So you can imagine. But Steven Spielberg sort of gave a little bit of a blessing, and then that came out. All right. So that was called Piranha 2: The Spawning. That's a James Cameron went on to do Terminator and, of course, Avatar.
Cameron. It's Cameron? Is that how Cameron? Is that how?
James, Cameron.
A little film called Titanic.
And and Titanic. And he did Titanic. Avatar. Now flash forward to 2010. And you have the movie Piranha. Now, I know a lot of you kind of scoffed for a moment, but I love Sharknado, and this is going to be in the vein of Sharknado. I will say that Piranha, and it's called Piranha, but it is also called Piranha 3D because it's in 3D. It was released in 3D, but it's also a remake. It's sort of a comedy remake, a loose remake of the original Piranha. Okay. Now, just to give you an idea, on Rotten Tomatoes, the what do you call it? The
score?
The score on Rotten Tomatoes is 74%. Now, the audience score is 43%, but the critics gave it a rousing. They loved this movie. Now, before we get into it, the director of this movie was Alexandre Aja. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. He also redid The Hills Have Eyes in 2006 and Mirrors in 2018. So he's got a little bit of a pedigree. Now, you may say Piranha. Well, Piranha was able to do what Jaws 2 wasn't able to do, which may be one of the reasons they, which was to get this Piranha movie was able to get Richard Dreyfuss to be in the movie, which Jaws 2 was not. Now, this movie with Richard Dreyfuss, in the very beginning, it's more of a cameo, but he literally plays the same character.
He's in this?
Jaws. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So now, the whole idea of this movie. Now, this movie has Elizabeth Shue, Christopher Lloyd, Jerry O'Connell, Jessica Zor, that's from Jessica Zor is on the Orville right now, and she was very hot at the time this movie came out. It was like in between seasons, early seasons of The Gossip Girl, and she was one of the main characters on Gossip Girl. And Adam Scott is in this movie as well. So there's and Ving Rhames is in this movie as well. So the cast, Ving Rhames is in this movie as well. Somebody's drinking. So, but what I'm saying is, my point is, it's got a good director. It's got an amazing cast, and I gotta say, it's a fun movie to watch. It's on Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix. And I will say that while everyone delivers the expected, oh no, everyone's getting eaten by piranha, great acting. Jerry O'Connell deserves an Oscar for his portrayal of his character in this. He is so
Man
over
number
the top.
6.
He is so over the top, a douchebag in this movie. He's like a porn guy,
Yeah.
and his main thing is, just to give you an idea of this movie. So this movie is so gross, by the way. If you can't handle gross, then there's a scene where like they're all coming in when all the teenagers on spring break are in the water and in the boats, and the piranhas are just coming in. And when I tell you, if you can picture like a Jaws being bit once, imagine like the grossness of like 1,000 fish just tearing somebody apart, or like someone's hair getting caught in a motor of a boat, and you can picture what happens. It happens. All right. It's like, I'm not going to describe it. It's so horrible. It's so horrible to watch, but it's also so fun to watch.
So is it played for laughs? Is it campy?
Yeah, it's like a comedy horror film.
Okay.
Comedy horror film. And so Christopher Lloyd plays the guy, oh, these fish, this is impossible. They catch one, right? And so what happens is there's sort of like a thing underwater, and it opens up the underneath, and it opens into this new, into a caverns or whatever. And so that's how the piranha get there. So these are like ancient piranha, not just piranha. They're ancient piranha. Oh, how do we get, he knows, of course, all about the piranha. And Adam Scott plays it straight in this movie. It's great. And it's fun. It's, if you want to, like, in the same sense that I'm sure Selling the OC is fun, this is fun movie to watch. At no point do you go, this is the worst movie ever. You go, this is like a movie I just shouldn't be enjoying, fun to watch. But you have to be able to, Sharknado, I didn't
like
think
Schindler's List.
But you shouldn't. Sharknado was gross if you didn't like the smushing. This goes way beyond that. Okay, so Jerry O'Connell falls in the water, and they pull him out, and 90% of his flesh is gone. But he's like, they took my penis. They took my penis. And then there's a whole 3D scene of his penis floating, and the fish eats it and then spits it out. It was so unnecessary. Unnecessary
and yet necessary.
So this movie comes from a long line of reputable versions of these type of B movies, horror comedy type things. Now this movie did so well. It did really well. I think a 25 million budget. I think it made like 80 million. It did well for a summer fair, and it spawned the movie Piranha 3DD, which is not as talked about as much as Piranha 3D.
Should it be 3 double D?
It wasn't canon. That's why.
Yeah, it just that movie basically was horrible reviews all around.
When did this movie come out, Jeff? The one that you're...
This is a 2010 movie.
Okay. So CGI is good at that time.
Yeah, the fish is great. The piranha are great in this movie.
Is there like a king piranha?
And them getting eaten is great. And it's funny, it sets itself up for a sequel at the very, very end. But then they just go schlock with it. So Ron's like, this is great. This is great.
No, dude, this is right up my alley. I would absolutely watch something like this.
I would watch it too.
Drivel and something, because you're talking to somebody who absolutely adores Sharknado. So
you're a Sharknado fan. I didn't know that.
Oh, how could you not be a Sharknado fan?
I never watched it. I don't know.
Oh, I know. Ron, you are gonna love. I have an upcoming episode of my podcast. I talked to Thunder Levin. He wrote Sharknado 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it's a long interview. It's like just over an hour.
I'm looking forward to that, Jeff.
We go into
you can count me amongst one of your most loyal Sharknado fans.
There you go. So, but yeah, Piranha, it's a fun movie, and Elizabeth Shue is great. They're all great. And,
is there any nudity?
There's nudity. There's violence. Good. This movie's got it all.
Excellent.
It's got it all.
I laughed. I cried.
I do. It's got all the feels.
I saw a floating penis.
It's got all the feels.
Friends became enemies. Enemies became friends.
It's got Richard Dreyfuss. I know
exactly the clip you're talking about. Ron.
It's got the perfect Christopher Lloyd.
So is Richard Dreyfuss playing a Hooper type guy who comes in and let me tell you what's really
No,
going
no.
on here.
He's like just in the very beginning, and so like the earth is disrupted underneath him, and so he's just like in a fishing boat, but he's also kind of singing "Show me the way to go home," and then he gets killed. Like he's dead within the first 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Let me show you the creme de la creme. Mary Sue Moffat.
Yeah.
I can't even.
She broke my heart.
I can't even imagine the money Christopher Lloyd and Richard Dreyfuss gave. I bet they were on there for one day and walked off, and that probably made a fortune. But it was these are the type of movies that can go so bad, and this movie was done great. And just to show you, like when they eventually went and made the sequel to this one,
yeah,
they
so I feel like I feel like there are versions of this, to your point, Jeff, that do go horribly wrong. Like I'm looking directly at like Snakes on a Plane, or although I imagine
Anaconda.
Anaconda.
Yeah. I thought Anaconda was good.
Snakes on a Plane, I think, actually made money.
There's a new version of that, Beast. With Idris Elba. Yeah, that's another one. Trapped in a car and a lion's coming in. Well, I think they made that. It's called Cujo.
It's called Cujo.
Stupid.
Cujo. Listen, the formula works as long as it works, and this sounds like this is perfectly done. It sounds like it made a bunch of money, so good for them.
For all the shark movies that got remade after Jaws,
Orca.
Right, all the shark.
Yeah, Orca. God, that Richard Harris was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
In between blackout drunk periods, he managed to film a movie. Good Lord.
No distress signal had been sent.
I always forget to put that. I always forget to put that up.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite line. He was so drunk filming those scenes, they had to roll him on like Hannibal Lecter on a dolly.
Like Weekend at Bernie's.
So all right, so that's the end of that. So go see that. So I do have one wrap up thing. So Thor: Love and Thunder, according to Rotten Tomatoes, got 65%, which isn't like super high, but it's still positive.
You talking about Love and Thunder?
Yeah, Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
So now tomorrow is Disney Plus Day. And so one of the big things is Thor: Love and Thunder is one of the movies that it's going to be streaming tomorrow. Also, the live action Pinocchio with
She-Hulk, new episode
of She-Hulk. And I don't know if you've seen off his Elvis role, he's Geppetto. Tom Hanks is Geppetto. They basically literally remade. They literally remade the cartoon. But so Thor: Love and Thunder, 65%. I have friends that love our Marvel diehards, which I know Ron is not, that thought Thor: Love and Thunder was one of the worst pieces of shit ever. As a matter of fact, it was so bad they fired the director from Thor 5 because he so mishandled Thor 4, which is Love and Thunder.
So and Tiki White, what's his name? Tiki?
Yeah, they fired him. But here's the funny thing about them. Here's the thing about them firing him. They announced this like 3 days ago or something. But they were also promoting Disney Plus Day, which is tomorrow. And one of the highlights of Disney Plus Day was the fact that you can now stream Thor: Love and Thunder. Why, if it's one of the things that you're hyping the most, do you say, oh, you know what, this guy screwed up so bad, we proactively fired him?
Yeah, but you can see his last movie for us.
You can see the garbage that's coming tomorrow free, as we up your Hulu prices and everything.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was bad. It's just played. It's done, man. Thor is done. These individual movies, they're done. I'm just, Marvel is running out of steam, baby, and you can feel it.
Well, because that's the other interesting Marvel thing is that supposedly, I think it's this weekend, there's another festival. It's not Comic-Con, obviously, but there's something else. And the announcement, the leaked list of actors that are they've lined up for roles in Stage 5 is like Denzel. It's just a ridiculous.
Henry Cavill,
list.
Superman. Yeah. They pinched him from DC.
Yeah. So I think this weekend is when they said there'll be more details.
But I also read that Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck are the future of DC. They're retooling with them.
What?
Yeah.
Ben Affleck?
Yeah, as Batman and
Yeah.
and
Back as
Henry
Batman, yeah.
Cavill as Superman again.
Wait a
But-
minute. Okay, never mind. I can't follow it all.
I know. Well, it's the fact that all of a sudden Denzel's in these movies.
So Marvel
enough,
is going
right?
to make a Superman movie. Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying maybe it's going to be in both worlds, but
Okay.
I'm saying it's like this is the only thing people can do now to make money or be seen is these movies. It's like,
Yes.
but I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's spent.
Thank
You know,
you.
they built up into the end game, and it was
that was
all
it.
masterful. And then
Yes.
and then they're like, you'll see at the end of stage 4. Just stick with us for 20 hours, and you'll see where we're going.
All right.
You know,
It's like-
listen, quality is quality. Truth is truth. You can only make shitty prepackaged bullshit CGI films for so long until your audience will eventually catch on and be bored with it.
Yeah,
Really?
I sat and Love and
I
Thunder
just-
and just what? There's more explosions. There's more explosions and there's fighting, and I don't give a fuck about any of this. I just don't.
Really, I agree with you guys that the fourth wave here of shows has been not up to what the first 3 waves were, but I don't agree with that point that it'll eventually catch up. I mean, there's a reason Michael frickin' Bay has been around forever. You just blow shit up and people are gonna come. And,
Yeah, but
and
even
not
his
only
movies
that,
petered out. You know
Well, I like
they
the money
weren't-
pit.
what?
I like the money pit.
I love Lamp.
I did not like The Godfather.
I didn't care for the God. I didn't care for the Godfather. Why, Howard?
It insists upon itself.
It insisted upon itself.
That's a Family Guy reference.
All right.
What do you,
All right, well,
what do you like? I like the money pit.
All right. Well, good show. Ron, thanks everyone. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Ron, say goodnight.
Yeah, I'm here Wednesday nights, 9:30, boys. Thank you.
Bob, say goodnight.
Hey, if you're in the Ann Arbor area, check me out next week at the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase, Friday and Saturday, 7:30 and 10 o'clock show. Wait, I don't know. 7:30.
right.
Yeah, 7:30 and 10 o'clock shows. I'm recording a new album.
Oh,
Nice.
that's exciting.
Nice.
My only regret is 1, not being asked to open for you by you, and then 2 is never headlining the Ann Arbor Showcase.
Well,
that was the
why
one
would
thing
you?
always
I
wanted.
didn't have any say in it. Roger put somebody.
I was
in front
kidding.
of-
I was a joke. Rosner, did you say goodnight?
No regrets. Not even one little letter. Good night, everybody.
I mean, I'm sure Roger would have taken the headliner who was recording his album. Whatever. Okay. Just kidding. I'm busy anyway. I'm busy. No, hey, check out Bob's podcast with Sal, who will be back next week.
Passive
Sal and Bob
aggressive.
show. Bob always.
Oh, my
falls
mic
for it.
is
It's
still
like,
on.
It's like hot. And in my podcast, Classic Conversations. Oh, it's so fun. Bob, you fall for it every time. I just have to do just a
Because
little
you're so
bit.
convincing.
And yeah, no, but I'm always joking. I don't care. I don't even. Anyway, I did comedy for the first time. I'm in front of my daughter. My daughter came. One of my daughters actually
wow.
came to a show.
Yeah, you were featuring at the Castle recently, right? How come you didn't ask me to MC?
Because I was asked to feature. I did ask you. I did ask Mark to MC. He said no.
That's okay.
Just kidding. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. This has been fun, and boom. And that has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow the Jeff DeWaskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff DeWaskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us, listen to our podcasts, Classic Conversations, and the Sal and Bob Show. Check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.